Everybody, it's John DePietro, and I want to thank you so much for participating in the Worcester restaurant quiz that we placed here on this Facebook group not too long ago. And you know what? We had several hundred, actually into the thousands of people that were answering questions. Not many were able to get all of them. There were a few people that really did good. It kind of showed their age, I guess you'd say. But they did get them all. And I even made some mistakes because I said one of the restaurants was at the corner of Park Ave and June Street, which doesn't exist. It did in my mind that particular day. So what we wanted to do now was to go over the answers to the questions in the Worcester restaurant quiz, which you may have taken right here on this Facebook page not too long ago. So here we go. The first question was what was the location of the Coach and Six restaurant? And many people were close to the Coach, get it, close to the Coach. But it was basically right where 190 runs across Gold Star Boulevard, right there. And I think about 1978 or 79 when they put in that 190 extension from where it used to end right there. Remember that 290, it used to end right there, but that's where Coach and Six was. So if you were heading toward Holden or West Boylston from Worcester, it would be right at the end of the ramp. So that's where the Coach and Six was. Number 2, Montrose restaurant. So this is an interesting thing because a lot of people said, oh, it's not the Montrose, it's the Montrose. And, you know, they sent us references for restaurants that were in like Leominster or some were even up in the Fitchburg, and somebody even said there was one in Lawrence. Well, this was kind of a Worcester area one. So we figured out that the location for that is right where 190 reaches West Boylston Street. Now there's a big extra Sunoco gas station there. And right there is the exit ramp if you take exit 4 when you're coming from either the north or the south. So that's where Montrose was. Now, the Charles restaurant was interesting because that had what we're told several different locations before the 70s when we remember it. But it was down at Millbury Street and one of the cross streets. It might be Millbury and Harrison, but it was down near Messier's Diner. So that's where the Charles restaurant was. And number 4 was Putnams and Thurston's restaurant, and that was located right on Mechanic Street. And I remember Mechanic Street because WAAF and WAAB, the radio stations, were virtually across the street. And today that is an office building. In fact, I think my daughter just brought our grandchild down for braces. There's some dental offices in there. But it was a pretty famous restaurant during its time. And Putnams and Thurston's restaurant at Mechanic Street, and it looked out onto Norwich Street, right in downtown Worcester. Now, number 5, T.O. Flints. There was kind of like 2 questions with T.O. Flints. Number 1, where was it located? And the answer was Lincoln Street. Lincoln Street down where Jamesbury used to be, right where it runs off onto Plantation and in that area down there. So that was at Lincoln Street. But the other part of that same question was, the answer is the person who won, I think it was Roger Maltby, won the PGA tournament at Pleasant Valley. See, because Pleasant Valley was owned by the same people that owned the Sheraton Lincoln, which was right across the street, which is now Kohl's. And so they were staying at the Sheraton Lincoln, and they went over and had maybe a beer or 2 or 3 or 4 at the T.O. Flynn's restaurant and left their $35,000 check, the first prize. Now it's not even the 50th prize. $35,000 check they left at the bar. And of course, it was kind of hard to cash for anybody who may have wanted to do anything that they shouldn't have done with it. So that was returned to, it was either Roger Maltby or Vic Regalado, one of the two. It was one of those guys. I think you can look that up. I think it was probably 1975 or so. So that was the deal on Lincoln Street at T.O. Flynn's. And then number 6 kind of gave the answer away. Riley's on Lincoln. Riley's on Lincoln. There were several Riley family members that involved themselves in that restaurant, and it was a great restaurant for quite a long period of time. Number 7 was the Northworks restaurant. They had 2 locations. One was right on Grove Street, where I think the Fix, the burger place, is right now, on Grove Street. And the other one, which not many people got, was in Auburn. And I think it was on Bancroft Street, but it was right near, it backed up to the Mass Pike and was right near the Auburn Mall. So the Northworks, 2 locations, Grove Street, Worcester, and Auburn Mall. Number 8, the Highlander Restaurant, or the Highlander Diner, is now the sole proprietor. And that was, here's a little hint, it was on Highland Street, and it was right across from the Boynton. And interestingly, we probably could have added or should have added the Boynton in there, because they're in the process of celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. Now, number 9, I alluded to it before. It was at the corner of Park Ave and May Street. Now there's a CVS there right now. It was Cactus Petes, and they used to give you peanuts as an appetizer, probably to induce you to drink a little bit more, just like the Ground Round in Shrewsbury used to give you what I consider the best popcorn around. So you'd always order an extra beer, or 2, or 3. And the final question was this. There were 3 well-known chains that had locations on Main Street in Worcester. 2 were national chains, and 1 was a regional chain. And let's start with the regional chain first. At 370 Main Street in the Guarantee Bank building, which is now the TD North, or the TD Bank building, down at the bottom left, first floor, bottom left, was Friendly's. And then just down the next block at the corner of Pearl Street and Main Street, where Commerce Bank is right now, there was Ware Pratt was the clothing store. Ware Pratt closed, and there was a Burger King in there. So there was a Burger King there at that corner. And then almost across the street at 405 Main Street, and now I think it's Worcester Pizza, if there's anything in there at all. But it's right next door to Shaq's, where Shaq's was. And that was a McDonald's. So at one time, you had a Friendly's, a Burger King, and a McDonald's, all on Main Street, all within a block and a half of each other. And for some reason or another, you know what? They've moved on. So Friendly's has kind of moved on from Highland Street, from Lincoln Street, from, I don't know if the Auburn one is still open or not. But tell us if you know of any Friendly's that are still open. I know the one in Holden just closed. And why don't we do this? Of all the restaurants that we talked about, why don't you tell us what your favorite was? So because of Facebook rules, we can't have a contest and give out any gift certificates or anything along those lines. But for Worcester people that want to have some fun talking about what their dining life was like back then, tell us your favorite restaurants. And if there are other topics that you want to go over here with 10 questions about a certain thing, whether it was a movie theater, whether it was you know, a place where you went bowling or something along those lines, tell us what you want us to talk about, and we'll do it in a future edition right here. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. My name is John DePietro. Have a great day, everybody.